All right, hey guys, we are live inside the newsroom here at Fox 5 DC. I'm Molly Nevola. On this January 18th, it's already Thursday, going into the end of our week. So thanks so much for joining us here in the newsroom. We're going to be going through a bunch of different stuff today. Live look down in New Orleans. Actually, right now, they're talking about winter weather, which is fascinating for New Orleans, considering how south it is that they're going through some winter storms, and they're prepping for that. I see the mayor, Mich up at the microphone right now. Also, Paul Ryan is speaking on the Hill live. He's talking about military, something about the military topics. And then we also have the Larry Nassar trial, guys. It continues in Lansing, Michigan today. I know we've been kind of chronicling this throughout the week, hearing the testimony of more than 100 women who are coming forward. Now, interestingly, Larry Nassar has only admitted and pleaded guilty to 10, abusing 10 of those women, but more than 100 are coming forward against him. So we'll take a live look there, and also talk some social trending topics with our social media editor, Raisa. She'll be coming over shortly. Any live or breaking news will certainly trump all of this, and we'll go to live cameras right away. But that is sort of what is on the plan for today. So thank you for joining me. And as always, please do engage on the live chat so we can chat it up and talk what you want to talk about, and let me know that you're here and that you're watching on this Thursday. But happy Thursday, guys. Hope you're having a good day already. Let's go down to New Orleans and see what they're talking about. It's live right now as we head into our stream here. Thanks for joining.
Longer than necessary, and when not necessary, washing clothes, and in some instances, bathing. We remain in constant coordination with the state and our Department of Public Works to ensure that bridges and key corridors are sanded. There will be further announcements throughout the day as the road conditions change. The interstate remains closed at this time, and citizens should not enter those bridges by going around barricades until they are reopened by DOTD. I want to say this again. If there's a barricade up, there's a reason why there's a barricade up. It means that it's unsafe. And if you go around the barricade, you're putting yourself, other people, and first responders in danger. Since the start of this weather event, EMS and NOPD responded to over 1,107 calls for service, including close to 100 traffic accidents. One of those accidents, as we know now, has resulted in a fatality. The health department operated an overflow shelter for the second night in a row and has serviced a total of 168 residents over the past 2 days with the support of NARDC and the New Orleans Fire Department. Now, while the temperatures increase and the roads and bridges begin to reopen, we want residents to continue to limit activity on the roads and refrain from using water until the system recovers to the normal operating capacity. We do not know when this is going to be. So I want to kind of condition everybody right now to hunker down for a little bit more time under stress. I don't know how long that's going to be. Due to the unique nature of water pressure challenges experienced in New Orleans and surrounding parishes, we're asking all residents to prepare for an extended and precautionary boil water advisory. I'd like the citizens to rest assured that we're all working around the clock. We have had first responders and folks out almost 24/7 since Tuesday. I want to thank all of those folks that are in the field that are doing everything to keep us safe. I want to thank them very much. So with that, I'm going to have President Mike Yenny come up to be followed by Aaron Miller, Joe Valiente, who is the director of JP Emergency Management, to be followed by Charles Rice. Then we'll have some comments from Kevin Dolio at the airport because we have some concerns there. Justin Argosine from the RTA. Marcy Edwards, our interim executive director of the Surge and Water Board, will talk, and then we will have council members should that need arise. Thank you so much, Parish President. Mike, thank you for coming. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Mayor, for the invite. We appreciate this to be able to get our information out to the residents of Jefferson Parish. We're being advised by DOTD that the interstate through Jefferson Parish should open around noon today. We're still waiting for that final approval. The West Bank Expressway has been opened except for the Manhattan and Barataria exits. We expect those to be open at noon today also. Just to give everybody the 411 on the Jefferson Parish water system, this is the first boil water advisory we've had since Hurricane Katrina back in 2005. Our system on a normal day can produce a maximum of 50 million gallons of water. Through the peak of this event, we have produced 72 million gallons for this extended period. Our normal PSI for the system is 55. The minimum the state requires is 15 PSI. We had to lower the pressure to approximately 45 PSI on the East Bank last night due to extensive breaks throughout the system. The West Bank level is 65 to 52 PSI. Right now, the West Bank of Jefferson Parish is at 52. Terrytown and Lafitte on the West Bank are at 45. There is no boil water advisory on the West Bank of Jefferson Parish. We've only issued the boil water advisory for the East Bank of Jefferson Parish. Just so you know, we have a total of 150,000 water meters throughout Jefferson Parish, 90,000 on the East Bank, 60,000 on the West Bank. We have crews in-house and contractual crews out working on, for these repairs. They cannot go on private property. So if you have breaks on your private property, we'll be putting out instructional information through our website and Facebook on how to shut your water meters off on your internal system at your house, or go onto the street to close the valve that's at the street level. We also have been very fortunate that this is, again, the boil water advisory hasn't happened in Jefferson since '05. And this is strictly a precautionary because, obviously water can enter the system when the pressure drops. So we're hopeful to get that pressure back up. But right now, as the mayor indicated, we're going to have to come back later today to figure out where we are. We have seen an increase at our fire stations where they were at 20 PSI. Some of our fire stations, as I was just told walking in here.
All right, guys, so some unusual winter weather down in New Orleans. They're prepping for it. Lots of officials there taking the stand to talk about what they're doing to keep the city safe. As you know, New Orleans has been through a lot in many previous years, so important to kind of get that city ready. We've heard from them recently as disaster has struck down near the Gulf. And I want to check in on Capitol Hill really quickly because we have some other live stuff going on. Let's go over to Speaker Paul Ryan to hear just a piece of his address to the media, and we'll come back to New Orleans in a little bit. So just jumping around today, giving you a taste of what's going on.
Event that you guys are all invited into, that you guys talk about, which is he wants to have security, he wants to have a balanced deal. The purpose of getting DACA right is so that we fix DACA once and for all, and we don't create a new DACA problem that we have to address 5 and 10 years down the road. And so the president is clearly giving legislators room to negotiate, but he wants a balanced deal. The president's made it clear that the deal that he was presented with by Graham and Durbin is not a balanced deal, and he doesn't support that. What I've been making clear is we're not going to bring a bill through here that the president's not going to support. What would be the point of passing something that doesn't go into law? We want to pass something that goes into law. And what that means we'll do is pass a balanced deal. But again, what does this have to do with our military? What does this have to do with preventing the Children's Health Insurance Program from shutting down in all these states in a few days? What does this have to do with making sure that the men and women who are out there right now putting their lives on the line need what we can give them? What does this have to do with our funding for our troops? It has nothing to do with funding for our troops, and we should not use them as bargaining chips.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just
Then I'll go back.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm picking on front row people too much. I gotta go back to
This is because of Ohio
the cheap
State,
seats.
Wisconsin, and the Big Ten.
Oh wait, yeah, go ahead. Dude, next question.
Just to follow up on Barry's point, though, because of what Leader McConnell said yesterday about not necessarily knowing where the president is, last week you sort of had to serve as translator and chief to a FISA tweet again this morning. These are tough votes for you, tough votes for your conference. Is it helpful? Do you feel like the president is helpful to this process of actually getting 216 or 218?
He is. He's going to the Pentagon today to make the point about why our military is under duress, why our military needs funding. He's obviously supporting getting this done. And the president likes to do things in an unconventional way. He does it with his phone, but it actually does help us with our members. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Lisa from the PBS NewsHour. Politico is reporting that Mr. McConnell is making contingency plans for a possible shutdown. Are you making those plans, and are you open to a 1, 2, or 3 day CR?
Look, I'm not going to sit here and negotiate through the media, but that's up to the Senate Democrats. If the Senate Democrats want to shut the government down, if the Senate Democrats want to deny funding for our troops, if the Senate Democrats want to stop SHIP funding for unrelated issues, that's a choice they would make. I don't think it's a good choice for them to make, but that would be their decision to make. In the back. Who are you? Remember? Yeah.
Who am I? I'm Nash Jenkins from Time Magazine.
Okay, sorry.
This will be I guess the 4th time in as many months that you guys have had to pass a CR. Why is that? Why?
You want me to read my opening again? So, it's a totally legitimate question. I'm not trying to belittle your question. Why are we doing this continuing resolutions? Because Senate Democrats are not allowing appropriation bills to even be brought up for a vote, because they're attaching unrelated issues to cap negotiations. So shouldn't we have regular order on appropriations? Congress agrees on the spending level, and then Congress funds appropriations to those levels. That is how appropriations are supposed to work. The House passed all 12 appropriation bills ahead of schedule this year. The Senate hasn't brought up one appropriation bill, and that's not Mitch McConnell's fault. That is the fault of the fact that it takes 60 votes and the Senate Democrats are refusing to even exercise the power of the purse. And now they're refusing to get a cap agreement so that we can get the power of the purse exercised, so we can fund the military, fund things like basic health care, fund things like opioids. They're refusing to even do that over these unrelated issues. That's why we are where we are. Andy.
You are aware that Senator McConnell has not attempted to bring up an appropriations bill and that the Senate Appropriations Committee has not drafted.
I am aware of it, and it's because they know they don't have 60 votes to proceed on this thing. I wish they didn't have to get 60 votes to proceed, but it's because of that.
Would you like to see the Senate maybe make more of an effort to demonstrate the points you're making by moving to go to legislation?
Of course I would. I'm a House guy. I always want to see the Senate do more on the legislative calendar. They're pretty busy on their what they call the executive calendar, trying to get personnel through. I sympathize with their problems, but yes, I would love to see people at least have to vote on these things.
Mr. Speaker, what's your case to national security lawmakers who worry that every day under a CR damages the military?
The CR is not good for the military, but what's worse for the military is a government shutdown. What's even worse for the military is a government shutdown followed by a sequester, which is what would happen if we don't pass a CR. We also have passed what we call anomalies. We passed things in these CRs that give the military the flexibility they need during the time of the CR to do what they need to do, but it is clearly less than ideal. I just gave a speech this morning at CSS about this, but what we know for a fact, you can ask Secretary Mattis the same question, is that not passing a CR is much worse and much more damaging for the military, especially when it's followed up with a sequester.
Last question, Mr. Speaker. We've been talking a lot about Senate Democrats today.
So guys, if you're just joining us, you're watching Fox 5 Live here in the digital newsroom, in the newsroom of Fox 5 in DC. You're looking at a live look at Paul Ryan on Capitol Hill talking about various topics, DACA, the military. I want to switch it back over to New Orleans because I want to take a live look down there where the mayor and other officials are talking winter weather storm prep. It's sort of come up on them this season, and they're getting ready to prep their city for what they need to do, and they're speaking right now. So let's take a look.
Justin Augustine, followed by Marcy.
Good morning. All RTA bus services are actively operating on all routes with limited access pending road conditions. In regards to streetcar services, the St. Charles streetcar line is open for service. The Rampart St. Claude streetcar line is closed for service but has been augmented by bus services. The Riverfront streetcar line is closed for services. Regarding our ferry operations, the Algiers ferry and the Chalmette ferry are both closed for service due to icing on the landing points and icing within our pumping capacity in terms of our fire suppression systems. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Justin. Okay. All right, Marcy Edwards, Interim Executive Director of the Surgeon Water Board. Welcome, Marcy.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. You've heard it, this freeze is really a regional issue, and the Sewage and Water Board has called for boil water advisories at this point for the entire East Bank of New Orleans. And as the mayor said, this isn't one that's typically, not going to have a 24-hour turnaround. There has been, our housing stock is the same housing stock in many places. It has a lot of older pipes. There's a lot of issues on private property where they have had leaks. And I do want to make note of the fact that as it starts to warm up, particularly sprinkler and irrigation systems, it's very important that people check their properties, maybe run their sprinklers once the conservation need is down, but watch for leaks from that, as well as all the conservation messaging that you heard about washing machines and dishwashers. And we really need to be able to get the system pressurized back up. Once the pressure has been restored to reasonable levels, we'll be out doing water quality testing. When the results of that testing come back, we'll be able to lift the advisory. I would underscore that it is precautionary, but it is important to adhere to it. Thank you very much.
All right. Sorry, any questions? Yes.
The question is to be addressed by Mayor Landry and Parish President Mich. What's the status of hospitals? What are they doing? And in Jefferson Parish, we're hearing that East Jefferson hospitals have a serious problem and have gone to some type of and
Joe,
there's
you
no
want-
water here for Oxford
We're gonna
Center
ask Dr.
and Oxford Center as well, we're here.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
Sure.
Mr. President.
East Jefferson has a well system along with Ochsner's main campus, and they were engaging those well systems this morning when we saw the decrease of pressure. East Jefferson was aware of it last night when they couldn't get water past, I believe, the 5th floor. So they were starting to work on how they were going to institute that plan to make sure they had water. I know Ochsner main campus said they're going to be doing bottled water to their patients and instituting their well system to make sure they're able to do so.
What about sanitation before surgery and part one machines that use water, all that?
I would have to turn you over for them for that. I know they were going to have to cancel surgeries because of not having water. I did hear that from Ochsner main campus. They were having issues with that, so because they had a bunch scheduled today, obviously.
And while you're up there,
Sure.
JP Fire, what's our capacity to fight fire?
That's why I have the JP Fire Chief, Chief Dave Tibbetts, to answer those.
And I guess we both.
Morning. We're at normal capacity as far as resources are concerned. We have a 4,000 gallon tanker truck in place to extend our water reach, our amounts of water, as well as we have a tank that's stored on the west bank that's being put in service on the east bank at this time. So we feel pretty confident right now that we can handle the structure fires as they come to us. We've had, fortunately, our residents have been very proactive with this. We haven't had a lot of responses outside our normal response range at this point.
Thank you, Chief Tibbetts.
I'd echo what Chief Tibbetts said, and you've heard me say before, the majority of fire that we fight, the fire is suppressed with the water that's carried on the fire trucks. Our trucks carry 750 to 1,000 gallons of water, and numerous trucks respond to an incident. We haven't, thankfully, had any fires during this period. People have heeded the warnings that we've issued, and we also have water tankers that we'll utilize to supplement if we have an incident where we did have prolonged operations and needed to, require more water. But we would call for more resources with the trucks that have water, plus our water tankers. But at this time, we haven't had that need, and hopefully we'll start to see the pressure come back up as people heed the warnings that have been issued here today about if you have a leak, shut it off till you get it repaired.
Thank you, Tim. Wait. Joe Cantor, please finish responding to her question about the hospitals on.
Sure. To close.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. To close the loop on that, Orleans Parish hospitals are busy but are meeting the needs adequately at the moment. We're keeping an eye on it, obviously, and in close contact with them. Outpatient dialysis centers is one other area of concerns. For Orleans Parish, we have not had any reports yet that any centers are closed. We believe them all to be open. I would ask any dialysis patient, contact your center today before you make the trip out there. If your center happens to go offline later in the day, they will direct you to an alternative location. And as we get updates, we're going to put them on ready.nola.gov. Check out. At the moment, all reports are that Orleans Parish dialysis centers are functioning and open. But as the day goes on, patients should contact before they go out there.
Thank you, Dr. Cantor. Hey, Katie.
One for President Yenny. Can you talk about why Jefferson Parish is in this situation in terms of the capacity and the demand on the system? I mean, it seems like a very unusual situation of demand. I guess what's the state of our infrastructure that's allowed this to happen?
Well, again, the state of the infrastructure is very well. This is an unprecedented event where we've never had this kind of freezing weather in this long of a duration. This is, like I said, first time we've had this issue since 2005, but the amount of breaks we've seen across the parish. I mean, I witnessed one when we were checking to see the opening of Causeway at I-10 today. One just popped up by a restaurant on our side. So we've got to get our contractors and our water crews out there to fix those breaks. And when that water's coming out and when people are running faucets and doing those types of things, that depletes our system. And that's where we saw that decrease last night, where we had to take the pressure down also to meet those demands. And again, we had to get our crews out there trying to see if we could fix leaks overnight. We asked people to be conservative. Obviously, that didn't happen. We were only able to maintain 40 PSI overnight, where we thought between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. that would shoot back into the 50s. So we saw that decrease early in the morning. Around 5 a.m. it was still at 40. At about 7 p.m. we dropped into the low 30s and then dipped into the 20s.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah.
New Orleans, we're concerned about PSIs that are in the 20s.
Marcia, you want to?
Why the discrepancy between Jefferson Parish being concerned about 50 PSI, Orleans being concerned about 20 PSI?
We're all concerned about it going below 15 PSI. That's the state standard.
You said 15 or 50?
For what?
You said both.
For the pressure.
Our pressure is normally at 50. The state standard is 15.
Right,
That
and
is
we
ours.
have different pressure zones really throughout the system, so we need to be more specific. But the the 15 psi mark is the key one.
And then the Water Board indicated this morning that some major commercial properties were having water turned off. Any idea which properties were getting turned off because of major leaks? Is that what's happening, or is that not the situation?
It's a contributing factor along with all the other impacts of freezing, and I don't have the specifics on the customers that we're taking off.
So the Water Board is turning off the water where there's a big leak noted at certain properties?
We have across the evening, we found, as an example, there was an abandoned line that ran through properties that had a leak. So we have been trying to secure the water supply where we find it.
We can follow up with you on that, Katie. Jeff. Do you guys have a sense of how many leaks have been found so far in each parish? Whether any of those leaks are part of the public system rather than the individual customer system, and how much water is being lost?
And you guys is everybody? Is that who you? Both parishes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Frankly, Mayor, the specific
I think the
leaks.
answer to that is probably we don't know yet. But
Yeah.
but to answer just the general question, the folks who know more about this than I do. But Katie, one of the reasons this is happening, you can see it happening in St. Charles Parish around, because of the pressure that the freeze event is putting on both public pipes and private pipes, the number of leaks, and then internally the number of usage is causing the pressure to go down throughout the whole system. Normally all the systems operate at a pretty high level of pressure on a normal day. I don't exactly know what the pressure number is, but you know this, that the state numbers, once it falls below 15 psi you have to now do a boil water advisory. So, and then what happens is, as this thing rolls through thawing, it actually creates more pressure on the system, and then you have another problem coming out the other side, which is what we're all trying to manage. But we'll be able to get to you the answer to the question about the number of leaks and whether they're on the public side or the private side. Just a guess, but most of this is probably on the private side. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some on the public side too, but mostly this is private infrastructure. Is that fair?
That's correct.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Have you identified any problems with any of the distribution lines? Are there any water mains, other major systems that have had problems because of the freeze?
Joe, you want to?
Yeah.
I'm going to let Joe, since he handle that.
Sure. We have experienced a couple of main breaks.
All right, we're going to come out of this winter weather stuff, guys, and come back into the newsroom and talk a little more interesting stuff, some social topics with Risa.
Hi,
social topics, social trends,
Nice,
viral videos, a really cool art display that we went to yesterday. So totally switching gears, making it a little more entertainment.
But that's what we always do, right? We always switch it up. We got to give
check
you
into that vibe.
Pieces of everything.
I love it. And so hopefully if you're on the stream, you want to kind of talk about some more stuff. Again, breaking news will take over if anything does come up. But I want to start with a tiny bit of breaking news that we were talking about this morning, guys. Actually, you can see at the bottom of your screen there was earlier this morning, just about a half hour to 45 minutes ago, a public school threat on social media at a middle school in Alexandria, Virginia. So Northern Virginia, where Rice actually you're from.
It's where I'm from, and I also went to the school, guys.
It's just crazy. So it's Francis B. Hammond Middle School in Alexandria, and Risa many years ago was an attendee of this school, and apparently, I mean, the most breaking news that we have from them. This is their latest tweet, and you can see it right below me. Alexandria schools. All the students were safely evacuated, and they were taken to, I believe, the corresponding high school, which is T.C. Williams.
Which is T.C. Williams, exactly.
Which is most famously known for being the public high school as featured in Remember the Titans, the movie.
Yes.
Lots of people know it from that. I've been driven by it numerous times. So really quickly, just to kind of recap this, we can talk about it for a second. What do you remember going to this school? And then obviously the kids are safe right now. They're still investigating if this was in fact a credible social media threat, which does happen. So they have to treat it seriously.
Absolutely.
When you remember going here, do you remember sort of the evacuation policy or sort of how that all works?
Well, funny you ask, because I was actually there when 9/11 hit, and we were
in
relatively
2001.
exactly in 2001. I remember exactly where I was. I was in Mr. Burdoff's math class, and
we all remember exactly where we were on that day.
And like it's so many moons ago that you would think that your mind gets a little hazy, but I remember it crystal clear. We were working on an assignment, and I think we were correcting each other's work is what was happening. And there was construction happening at the school, so kind of where the football field was, and we heard a loud boom. We thought, okay, maybe that's construction, but we literally felt the floor somewhat shake, and we were kind of iffy.
Really?
Yes. And I remember a teacher coming in to Mr. Burdoff's class, opening the door, whispering something to his ear. He turned on the TV, and what we had in front of us was basically the Twin Towers on fire at this point.
And it's amazing because that is essentially up down the street from where she was.
From the Pentagon, exactly.
And it's so funny because it's so hard for me to resonate. I was so much further from this location, but you were so close because Alexandria, Arlington is where the Pentagon is.
Exactly.
So close by. So you were
so close. We're like a few miles away.
Booms.
We felt the boom.
That's insane.
And like I said, we literally thought it was construction. So recalling back on the evacuation process on this, I remember our teacher saying, you know, students, we're going to keep you all here. They didn't move us to any other sector of the school. Everybody remained seated in their classroom for X amount of time frame. And the day went on, and that's where my mind does get a little hazy. But I do remember that my mom never came to get me, guys. Instead, she went to go pick up my little brother in the nearby elementary school.
So you have a younger sibling that
I had a younger sibling in kindergarten. Exactly.
I guess when you think, what's going to be? I mean, maybe she was thinking you guys would be under some safety.
She probably did think that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But not surprising that you remember all the details of that.
No,
I remember on 9/11 this past year here, we kind of had some of the anchors and reporters recount their experiences with it and where they were. Lots of them, the veteran ones, were here working on what they were doing then. And
I'm sure it must have been crazy for
seemingly
the newsroom as all this broke. But yeah, so no, I remember going home, guys, and being a little salty because my mom hadn't picked me up. And I asked her, I was like, Mom, what happened? All the kids were being dismissed, or basically the parents were coming to get them. Why didn't you come get me? And she was like, well, I didn't know, what the process was at the school. So she was like, I just figured you'd get home safely whenever they dismissed you. So I feel like I may still be a little bitter over it.
Well, this certainly made you remember because you were at that middle school. And again, guys, just the official word. It's kind of hard to see if you are on your phones. It's a small statement, but this is the official statement put out by the schools just about 45 minutes ago that all students had been safely evacuated from this middle school that you went to, Francis C. Hammond Middle School, that is. And they were transported to T.C. Williams. They're going to have a lunch there, and parents are aware to pick them up there, and the whole process kind of goes on. So if we find out more information, we'll talk to you about that.
And let me just add to that. I do know that they do have for example, for us, when there's an emergency, everybody gets alerts on their text messages. So for every parent whose student is at this school, I'm pretty sure they all receive notification of that via text message.
So everything's modernized.
Exactly.
Did they have
everything's
that back
modernized.
when you were there too?
Absolutely not. I don't remember cell phones being a thing. Did they get emails? Did they send them? I don't know.
Guess your age. No,
exactly. That's a good one.
But it's true with the texting. Now it's so true that so many schools have so much more ability to take these safety precautions and to sort of get the word out in a different way, in a way that everyone is using, which is their phones, which is what we're all using now
via
for everything.
Yeah.
Tell me you're getting your everything.
But it's good because then people, are aware of the situation. So, that's good for the parents
I'm
versus
sure they find it right away.
finding about it on the news and they're like, wait, what happened? My kid goes there. They get the text message on their phone.
Pretty scary to also see that on your text messages, though. That hey, we have the situation, maybe a threat.
Oh yeah, I would imagine so.
Scary.
Yeah,
so
but
we hope everything's okay there.
Everything.
Hopefully, it's not a serious threat, but we'll take it. And we'll watch for any updates on that, guys. Breaking situation in Alexandria, Virginia. But we're here to talk about some other stuff. Social media. Let's talk about sort of what's happening in the news. What do we got, Raisa?
What do we have?
Kim Kardashian.
Oh my gosh, Kim Kardashian, guys. I feel like this has been the highlight of the highlight of the town.
Yeah.
She basically just had, well, not she, but her surrogate just had their baby, her and Kanye's. And I think there's talk on is the egg Kim's or is the egg from the surrogate?
So what's interesting, guys, and I'll put this up for a second so we can talk about it.
First off, welcome, baby girl.
I know. So they did have a baby girl. Kim and Kanye's surrogate mother birthed the baby. I was talking to a professional in the surrogate sort of realm. She's a lawyer at a firm here in DC who came on our morning show this morning. There's a great little interview talking about sort of what it means and who the typical clients are that request this, who are the typical women that sort of put themselves out there as surrogates. And then I did ask her specifically, I was wondering, is this new baby actually Kim's eggs from her body?
Right.
Or is it the surrogates? And she told me, the surrogate professional lawyer, she said that is usually a topic or a piece of information that remains sort of
a secret.
It's sort of closed. if the mother and father wish to discuss it, they can, but they usually don't, or they don't have to. And so that she told me that hasn't been out there with Kim and Kanye. So I haven't seen anything of the
interesting.
otherwise, but I don't know what you.
No, I haven't read up on anything outside of, congratulations to them. And I do remember though, guys, and this is where that question kind of is somewhat answered, but still a little hazy. When they were in the process of searching for a surrogate mother, I remember reading that Kanye specifically picked a woman that looked like Kim. The application process to this was super strenuous, but he made sure to pick a woman that looked like him to be the surrogate mother.
And I wish we had the picture, but I don't have it. I don't have one we can use. But I question. I question that too, and so now I do wonder, who is it? Is it her baby?
Who's the mom? Is the question.
So time will tell. That's some celebrity news for you.
It's a question for Bill Murray.
I know.
Sorry.
So true. Throwback. All right, other cool news, guys. Amazon, breaking news this morning, they released their top 20 contenders for where their second headquarters is going to be. We've been talking about this. We've been tracking this for months. Baltimore used to be in contention. Now it's not in the running, but the three areas that are Northern Virginia, Montgomery County here in Maryland, and then D.C. itself proper.
Basically the DMV area.
Those are the three out of the 20 that are contenders. The rest are all across the nation, all the big markets, everywhere. Philadelphia, Nashville, all the way across to L.A., Austin, Texas, all these things. Have you guys been hearing about this? So the Amazon headquarters, the second one, which will cost about $5 billion,
$5 billion,
but bring 50,000 jobs wherever it goes.
That's awesome.
So obviously a big thing to kind of think about and talk about. People are gunning for it to be in their city to help out their economy, and it's kind of cool. I have some close personal friends who are close or work for or in the business of Amazon, and the question is, where will it be?
Where? I don't know.
As we know, the first one is in Seattle. It's really taken over, and some of you guys from the Pacific Northwest weigh in on this. It's really taken over, as I've heard, sort of the economy there, the downtown. It's what that city is now. So kind of interesting, right?
No, it's interesting. It's also going to be interesting to see how traffic will be if it hits the Northern Virginia area or DC or Maryland.
It was in question, and I think there were talks. I don't know if this will be confirmed, but let's say DC is chosen, which would be crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I wonder where.
There's a small chance that it will be. There was talks, there were rumblings of is there space down near the waterfront / wharf, which is down where our baseball stadium is, the Nationals Baseball Park, National Ballpark. So the traffic with people, all the jobs, the facility there, the corporation, and then the games in the summer.
Oh my gosh.
Craziness.
Well, I guess we're about to see. So when is this decision going to happen? Do we know?
I'm not sure. I think what I think they're doing is sort of a marketing ploy to kind of say, hey, this is coming, keep your eye on us.
Oh, okay.
And so people are waiting with bated breath. They're anticipating what's going to happen, and they're excited about it. So it gives them more press. It gives a lot of eyes on Amazon.
We'll go to real estate on top of that, because can you imagine so many people coming in? The property in that area will definitely go up. So that's good. I feel like it's a win-win on multiple levels.
The property value.
Except the traffic. I'm sorry.
Tough because taxes are high here, so you wonder if they'll choose that, or if they'll choose a little more economical for them city.
Yeah, that's
where
true.
They can.
How much are taxes here again? What's the percentage?
Something really high.
Okay, I think Virginia's six something.
You might know better than I do.
Virginia's 6.
DC's 7 something.
Okay, so
for property, you mean?
I think so. I could be wrong though, guys. Let's not
don't go into that. I know. Okay, in other news too.
Let's see what else, guys. Can we talk about Uggs real quick? We don't have a picture.
Okay.
The brand, and it went down in Paris Fashion Week for the men's.
That's right. Do you guys know? So Uggs, the huge trend of the 2000s, they were all over college campuses. Everywhere, not even just college. Tom Brady became a spokesman for them and started doing their ads. Now they come out with what, thigh-high ones?
They came out with thigh-high ones that literally look like sweatpants that stop right here. First off, I'm not an UGG owner. Are you an UGG owner?
Nope, I don't have
any. High five to that, please. High five me right now. She needs to high five me.
Heck yeah.
Yes, high five me right now. And here's my question. Why? And let me also say this. They cost $1,000. $1,000.
Literally for a pair, and so you can get a thigh-high pair of suede or leather for not $1,000.
For not $1,000.
Oh my goodness.
I don't understand, but hey, you know what? I'm pretty sure the market's out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if I saw some people strutting their stuff in their thigh-high Uggs. I mean, no shade on it. Just saying why.
God,
it's a little extra.
People love brand names. They love following the advertisements, the sponsors.
This is true.
Little quick segue to that. Speaking of a little bit of sports news, I found it in the blogs. We were talking about it this morning. Tom Brady injured his hand in a practice. He was sort of slammed, I guess. The word is sort of that he's going to be okay and he's recovering, but people are wondering, is it going to be in question for Sunday?
Which hand was it? Left or right?
It was his passing hand.
Ooh.
That was the first in the headline that I saw. So I saw this last night. I forwarded it to a few friends. We talked about it on our morning show a little bit.
Okay.
You know, we'll see. Hopefully things are okay, and it's just maybe, you know, everyone's crossing their
And the
fingers.
big game is Sunday.
The big game is Sunday, 3 o'clock. The NFC Championship is at night. Vikings at Eagles.
Vikings and Eagles.
Two big East Coast games. Apparently, Tucker was saying the weather's going to be more mild this weekend, so we're good.
That's pretty legit.
And hopefully it's all mild all the way up and down the East Coast as well.
Okay.
Schultz is saying that Amazon brought some money to the area, right, because you're up in Pacific Northwest, but it's also driving property and rent up. So it's good for some and not good for everyone. That's right. And that will be the case, I think, wherever.
I think so, too. I mean, if you're a homeowner, I would imagine you're winning if, say, that's your home and you're renting it out to people. But then let's just say you're only there temporarily. Let's just say your plan is to be in the city for 2 years or to be with a company for 2 years. You're probably going to want to rent. But imagine rent would be a little bit high because there's so many people flocking to whatever city that they're going to.
Yeah.
Whatever city they're going to live in.
And not to mention, Schultz, you were just saying Denver. What a great, awesome city. People started flocking there so much in the past few years, even past 10 years, really, that at first it was sort of that diamond in the rough. I remember when I graduated college and people found jobs there and it was awesome. And they bought in really now amazingly luxurious places.
Yeah.
Now it's already high because people are flocking there. If Amazon goes there, it'll be even higher.
This is true.
More jobs, more people flocking, money go, like you said, gets more expensive for some people. So definitely something to think about.
Yeah, this is true. I guess we'll see what happens.
All right, switching topics. Let's talk about Justin Timberlake dropping a new single this morning.
Yes, JT.
We listened to it. It was kind of under the radar. He released the video. He's starting to trickle out some of his singles and some of his songs from his new album, Man of the Woods, which drops February 2nd. As you know, he's performing at halftime at the Super Bowl February 4th, I believe. You gotta check that. 4th or 5th.
So 2 days before his halftime.
Which is super smart. All the timing of this.
I think so too.
Yeah,
It panned out really well for JT.
So it's exciting. And honestly, his new one, it's called Supplies. I really liked it. The beat was great. You listened to it.
I thought this one was awesome. I liked it over the first one that he dropped.
Filthy.
What was the name of it? Filthy. Yeah. No, I just wasn't with it. But Supplies, I digged. I dig. And it had a music video to accompany it too, right?
Yeah, that's really how I saw it. Somebody forwarded me sort of the video that he dropped, and then I was watching that. And I was
I was at my desk, I guess. Okay.
I like it.
I like it. I like
I'm a fan. Let us know if you're fans of him. I know there's been talk about him and contention because of the whole Janet Jackson thing that happened infamously many years ago at that Super Bowl. Patriots were also playing in that Super Bowl. I remember it.
Yes, I remember
watching with my high school buddies. But yeah, the question, JT has apologized for it. He said in his tweets that it sort of is something that you don't want to remember. You don't want to kind of stay looming on, but it happened.
Oh, people will never let you forget, though. That's what happens.
So we'll see if she makes a guest appearance in the Super Bowl's halftime.
I think that would be awesome. Just come back. This is the new me, guys. It's just dead what happened X amount of years ago, and just enjoy the show.
Totally. So JT News new single.
That's
exciting.
pretty cool. Supplies. Comes out.
Check it out. They dropped it this morning on the video. I don't think it's on Spotify yet. I don't know if it's on other streaming services.
It's on Tidal.
I'm really glad my friend forwarded it to me because otherwise I would have been looking on Spotify and not finding it.
Oh my gosh. That's the thing with some of those companies. It takes forever to get on there. I know certain ones, they're like quick with it. Tidal, for example, they have it on there, I feel like, at midnight when an artist say, okay, at midnight I will have it. She did that. I think she's with Tidal. So there's certain ones that are like pick and choose.
Okay, so interesting also. In Olympic news, because this is very exciting. Opening ceremonies are February 8th. I'm very excited. It's a Thursday.
That's awesome.
I'll be watching. I'm always into seeing the displays from the countries coming together. Do you like to do that?
I think that's awesome. I did not watch
summer or winter.
The past few, but I remember in high school it was something that I would definitely sit down with my mom and totally watch.
Same. It's really cool. And you also coming from a country.
Yeah, I'm Bolivian, guys.
She's Bolivian, so you probably watch them and be proud of that and
yeah
excited.
A little excitement there.
We're really just a melting pot of America, right? Everybody comes from somewhere. We're all watching it, and it's really exciting. This year in big news, it was said yesterday that North and South Korea are actually going to be walking under the same flag at that opening ceremony. Did you guys hear about this?
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, so it's a big deal because they've technically been at war since the 1950s, and there's been obviously weapons testing and a lot of talk coming out of North Korea. And that's really exciting. So now they're taking it further by uniting under that same flag. And this time the athletes are going to compete separately, but the ice hockey team for women's will not. That'll be one
That's
exception.
awesome. I love that unification.
So kind of a cool little piece of news in sports, in world sports, right?
I think so.
Together at the Winter Olympics.
My little brother told me about this yesterday, and I was in awe about it. I was like, "This is awesome!" Because he's always like on his phone too, guys, like all of us. And he was like, "Hey, look, cool news with the North and South Korea." And then he told me, and I was like, "Dude, that's freaking awesome!" Just to hear, like you mentioned, you know, they've been at war for so many years, and to finally come together and say, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna come as one for this big event." So I think it's awesome.
Really quick to the comments, guys. Schultze, you're making some comments about Seattle being out of control and tough to get that commute going, and teachers can't afford to live there. You know, it is not unlike what I've heard. We were talking in the meeting this morning, and people are saying it's really has affected people in Seattle. It's really taken over in a lot of different ways, and so that's exactly sort of what I'd been told. I've actually never been out there. Have you been to Seattle?
No, I never have.
And it's such a hub for a lot of business and corporations have work trips there and meetings. My sister's been there numerous times. I've just never been out there, but it's exactly what I've heard about it. So interesting comment there, and then also comment about the North Korea, South Korea uniting under the same flag at the Olympics. People are happy about that. That's cool to see, right?
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that's like awesome because I feel like there's so much drama that has been happening with North Korea and like all of these political issues getting on another topic. But then to see this, it's like, oh wow, what a refresher.
You know, I'm debating even having a little get together to have like a Winter Olympics watch party, or for at least a watch party maybe on the weekend for a party. But the opening ceremonies are really what get me. I love the countries. I love the music. I love just hearing
the culture.
Of
it's
each country.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it
too.
You know,
it's one of the ways our world can actually unite is under sports. Thank goodness. I mean, right? It's every time the Olympics come around, I'm like, at least we have this kind of.
There's that unification there.
Feel.
Exactly. Even though we're still all at competition, but it's a friendly competition.
Gosh, that's so true. Yeah. All right, so in arts news, Schultz saying we need to visit Seattle. We do need to visit. We'll hit you up.
Let us know what are your favorite food spots. I literally plan my trips around food, guys.
Yes, we both do. We both do. There's a few things I've heard. I have some really good close friends in DC that have made it out there for job reasons and stuff, so I should ask them too. But
yeah, I should totally go.
Seattle on the brain.
And then let me know.
All right, so in other news, guys, guess what we covered yesterday? Another really, really cool display from the Digital Art Museum Art Tech House. Completely insane and awesome. I'm gonna just bring up full screen Rice's amazing Instagram post from last night. We're gonna take this off. Check it out.
How cool, guys.
Risa getting dipped in front of the
Shout out
lights.
to Molly, the photographer.
I was the photographer on this one, guys. So we were able to check out their fourth, I believe, iteration of this digital art. And I know you guys who like art are gonna love this. And we're still getting our pictures and videos together, but it was totally cool.
It was trippy, but in a very enchanting way. I do not know how to describe it outside of like it's one of those. I feel like this one is cutting close to one of my favorite ones, only because the way the digital art would move on the walls and was in complete sync with the music that was playing throughout the gallery was just awing. I could not. We literally spent 4 hours there, I think.
I'm gonna play my Insta story really quick.
So she's about to show you guys this awesome video that she took.
This is my video. This is just my story pieced together. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I just threw it together. You can kind of see there. It doesn't give you the full essence of it because I don't have the sound up here, but there's booming sounds, a rush of just sort of I'm gonna move this out of the way. A rush of sort of heart pounding music and sounds.
Yes.
And that was my dinner.
And that's how you ended it. Amazing.
Went to dinner. But what was really cool was the music sort of with the graphic and the sort of the black and white vibe of it. Like it was, like she mentioned, it was a confluence sort of science, technology, astrology. So it's so hard to explain, but just moving pieces, almost things that looked like or were reminiscent of like a heartbeat on the wall, movements with each beat. I love when movement and music connects to action. So
it is amazing.
That was sort of a really cool thing, and we had fun.
We had fun.
And pull up some videos.
How long are they out for? Do we know?
That's a really good question. We need to do some research later today.
We're gonna have a full article on the amazing experience.
We will. Let me show you quickly because I don't have it up. This is a really cool ball that you could just. I'm just holding my phone up, but.
Yeah.
Hard to kind of get the perfect angle on this one.
For the photographer that does, you got an eye, sir or girl.
Isn't that neat? So you just kind of go up to it. So it was that kind of feel, and it was a little bit trippy, like you said. If you have epilepsy, obviously it's a danger.
They had the warning signs.
They did have a warning sign, and then if you have, wooziness or dizziness, it was definitely it got to me after a while.
Sensitivity to lights
it
will
was
get
intense.
you. Exactly.
So
it's very intense. It's dark, but it just feels mysterious, and it also feels enchanting, and it also feels trippy. It's just a whole mix of worlds intertwined into one, and I love it. I love it.
It was really fun.
It was
I'm
a
trying
lot
to see
of
if we have
fun.
any more to bring up, but we had a good time.
We're definitely going to post more on our Instagram, guys, so please be sure to check it out. We have a slew of beautiful pics and graphics and a nice write-up coming up. So if you follow us, Fox5DC, we'll have it up there sometime this afternoon.
We will. We're going to post an article and more pictures and have more coverage of that. But that was a cool one. So
hit the double tap, guys. Love it.
Whoever's on with us. All right, guys. Thanks for chatting it up and making friends on our stream. What else do we have to talk about, Rice? Anything else? We talked about JT.
Let's see.
We talked about Alexandria. No, let's check if there's any updates with that. I don't think there are.
And this is probably tired out at this point. But do you want to cover the eyelashes one more time?
Wait, the winter ones?
The winter lashes.
I gotta find it first.
Okay. Well, you know who posted it? I think our sister station. So let's give them a little love. KTV YouTube.
Awesome.
So this is our San Francisco station, guys. They do an awesome job on their Instagram as well. And they posted a picture of this girl. What country was this?
Yeah, this is in Russia.
In Russia.
Yakutsk, Russia.
Yakutsk, Russia.
I will say, nice. You got it.
-50 degrees, guys.
Good pronunciation. I think that was right.
Yakutsk.
So literally -50. Tell me if you would ever live there. Raise your hand.
Tell me, would you ever step out there in
They
-50?
were questioning this on Good Day. They were like, is this even safe to be out in this type of weather ever? It's a question.
That is.
People live there though, guys. This is one of the coldest still inhabited places on Earth, is what I was reading.
It's a small village, right?
I think so.
I
think
feel
it is,
like
yeah.
I heard about this small village in Russia where literally if you want to go out for a drive somewhere, you have to have your car turned on for X amount of hours. So the engine starts getting warm and it takes hours.
Hours, not even like a few minutes.
Not even a few minutes. Like how our spoiled brats here handle it. Because sometimes I'm in the morning and I'm rushing, I'm trying to get to work. I'm like, okay, it's been 3 minutes, you need to warm up. You got people in different countries that have to wait hours for their car to warm up. So that's a little interesting.
I think it was cute that the girl kind of mixed this in with like just being a typical teenager or millennial or whatever she is. Like she was taking the selfie with her headphones in, frozen eyelashes, no big deal.
She has gorgeous lashes, I will say that. For the amount of snow to build up on all those hair fibers, they're long and gorgeous, guys. Did she have mascara on? Probably not.
Really good question. I don't know, but
I'd be scared that my eyelashes would break too, though.
Schulte says he wants to go there. He loves the Russians. Bring it on.
Hey.
I don't know, man.
It's a little too cold for me, I think.
Cool shot, though.
It's a dope
I'm glad that
shot.
one went viral.
Send us pictures, Schulte, if you go. I'd love to see them. We'll admire
I'll
them
hold
from
you
here.
To that you will go to Russia.
We will hold you to it.
We won't be there. It's too cold. All right, so you working on anything else today? We're going to work on that article.
Yeah, we're going to work on that article, get some pictures up, just to kind of highlight on the amazingness of this new exhibit that's opened. And yeah, we'll see what else is happening.
Yeah.
But thanks, guys, for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or having me, excuse me.
Thanks for hanging out. It's fun to talk social entertainment. We're going to bounce around today again. Like I said, not too much coming in later in the afternoon. We won't have it on here, but President Trump is in Corapolis, Pennsylvania. He is, let's see, what is he doing? He's delivering some remarks on taxes and the economy in the working class kind of area of that area of Pennsylvania. And that will be later in like the 3 o'clock hour Eastern time.
Okay.
So maybe we'll take that to Facebook probably. We kind of keep things flowing on all our social media outlets and all our platforms.
Spice it up. Yeah.
So for now, I see Pelosi is up on the mic in Capitol Hill. She has her address, just like Paul Ryan just did. So we'll take her live, and then we'll go back over to the Larry Nassar trial as well. More coverage of that going on in Lansing, Michigan. Very serious stuff going on, but good little break to talk social.
Always fun, guys. Thanks for having me.
Here, let's go back over to Capitol Hill, guys. Nancy Pelosi, House Minority Leader. Here she is.
And so we're hopeful that they can realize that the clock is ticking on our meeting the needs of the American people. Today, they're putting on the floor a continuing resolution, which in itself is not the way to go, just to have another continuing resolution, and how many more are there to come. But the fact is, of its substance, it is wrong. So having nothing to do with protecting our dreamers or anything else, we will be opposing this continuing resolution. Because while they put the CHIP program in there, they do not put the accompanying provisions that make CHIP work. And I just want to say that today we will be introducing a bill that Mr. McKeachin of Virginia will author and take up on the floor as our previous question. And that will have CHIP, and it will also have community health centers, Medicare extenders, home visiting care, Medicaid DISH, very important to our hospitals, therapy services, special diabetes for Native Americans, teaching health centers where our doctors, primary care doctors, get experience and how to meet those needs. That legislation, as I say, is being introduced today with a broad range of co-sponsors from our members. This is what we should be doing today. And why not? Because these provisions require funding. And instead of funding these, the Republicans are giving another tax break in this bill of $36 billion. Is this too complicated? Okay. We're supposed to finish our omnibus bill by September 30th. We did not. So now they ask for a continuing resolution for 3 months, and then one in December, another in December, now one in January. And this continuing resolution, in addition to being a bad idea as a way of funding government, is wrong in terms of its the way it abandons those initiatives like community health centers, which are essential to our meeting the health needs of the American people, especially our children. Where are they going to go? So for that reason, we would be opposing that. Today, also, House Democrats have sent a letter to the president, and in the letter, we talked to him about what this debate is about in terms of keeping government open in terms of our budget agreement. This is, we have two pieces of it, our military, which we firmly support. We support our military, men and women in uniform, but we also want to have our domestic agenda funded. One third of our domestic agenda is security. It's Veterans Affairs, it's Homeland Security, it's Department of State, it's anti-terrorism activities of the Department of Justice. That's 34% of the domestic budget. So if we're about the strength of our country, it's certainly measured in our military might, but also in these other initiatives that are not included in the defense side of the ledger, and also in the health, the education, and the well-being of the American people as a source of our strength as well. And so what we're saying that we need, what we're saying in the letter is, in addition to providing certainty to our military, we want to fight opioid addiction. We want to address crises facing our veterans in terms of housing and infrastructure. We want to help Americans with endangered pensions. We want to protect our dreamers. We want to fund community health centers that provide the primary care for 27 million Americans. And we want to, at the same time, provide the disaster assistance so necessary for the areas affected by natural disasters, with an emphasis on Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, which did not do so well in the version that we have seen so far. So this is what it is. We could just sit down and get this done. Except there seems to be some resentment in our, on the other side of the aisle to our having our domestic agenda funded. I don't know what's going on over there. But I do know that this continuing resolution is a very bad idea. I would have hoped that if they thought there was a need for a continuing resolution, it would be predicated on having already reached an agreement on the budget and on the dreamers. Now, let me just be sure to say to you that even if not one dreamer ever existed, we still have a problem on the budget side of this. Now, this isn't something that dreamers are holding up. And in the CR, as I say, it's about what isn't in there to help meet the health needs of the American people. So much else going on at the same time, but right now, the clock, get back to time. It's about time. It's about time that they sat down in a bipartisan way to get this done. We're close. They just won't go in for the close. It's about time that we do what the president said. He wants to help DACA. He calls it DACA. Okay, DACA. He said that. He said it to us yesterday when he was here. So let's just do it. What's the dilly-dallying about? It's a waste of time. It's not responsible. And we want to fight very hard to avoid shutting down government. That's not something that we have ever advocated. And I hope that the president was maybe his thinking had not evolved at that point when he said what this country needs is a good shutdown. Any questions? Yes, sir. Why does he just inject himself like that? I don't know.
You didn't have to call him. That's fine. When you hear Republicans say, well, it's going to be the Democrats' fault, and we know that they have, but how do you, when you have Democrats in competitive districts, and they portray it that way, and you have to explain, well, we voted against the CR, and they didn't put DACA, and you put all these layers into that explanation. Do you think that resonates with the public, though, that that can be explained away and that the public gets that?
I think that the public knows that the Congress of the United States has a Democratic, wishful thinking. I think the public knows that the Congress of the United States has a Republican majority in the Senate, in the House, and in the White House, president to sign their legislation. I think this is like one of the only times ever, but certainly in a long time, that there's been a shutdown when one party has controlled the House, the Senate, and the White House.
2013. Now that was, to be fair, that was Ted Cruz.
Now wait a minute. Who was president of the United States then?
Barack Obama.
Yeah, I said when there was one party. Did you not hear me? I said this is the first time when one party has controlled the House, the Senate, and the White House. You're not catching on? We had a Democratic president and a Republican Congress.
No, I understand. But
it isn't funny, but I mean, perhaps I'm not clear. This is the first time in recent memory that any party has dominated by having the majority in the House, in the Senate, and the president in the White House, where there has been a government shutdown. So, you know, look, in terms of all of this, just their CR is so shouldn't use the word thought, ill-suggested, that they may not even have 51 Republicans in the Senate voting for it. Check that out. Nancy?
Madam Leader, do you think that there is any chance at this point that these leadership talks can produce at least the outline of a DACA deal?
Definitely.
By tomorrow?
Oh, in terms of DACA, I thought you were talking about the whole thing, because as I said, if no DACA has ever existed, we still have the money challenges in terms of how we allocate our resources and how they are paid for or not. But I think that, I think that it could be there. The thing is, the president, Senator McConnell has said this with more authority than I, in that they don't know what the president really wants. Because what the bipartisan Republican and Democratic senators brought over was a response to what the president said he wanted, and then he didn't. In our House bill, the Hurd bill, which has 25 Democrats, 25 Republicans on it, it has it really contains in it what the Border Patrol has said are their needs right now. And I mentioned that to the president yesterday, but I'm not sure I'm not sure. I mean, he didn't have it in front of him, in all fairness to him. I'm hoping that now he has read that, because that's really what he has said that he wants. The Hurd bill is a good bill. It doesn't go as far as I would like. It only protects DACA, not their parents. But nonetheless, it's a bipartisan bill that is a compromise that I can support. So the essence is there. I have asked the speaker, I said, bring something to the floor. You like Goodlet? Bring it to the floor. We like Hurd? Bring it to the floor. They're two Republican bills. Bring them to the floor, take a vote, see what prevails, and send it over to the Senate if we don't want to cut ourselves out of that negotiation.
But my question was, if these leadership talks create even the outline of a deal.
What leadership talks are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about Leader McCarthy, Hoyer, those
I don't know what they're
discussions.
doing. I don't know what they're doing. I hope that they could, but that should have been done 4 months ago. You don't start from scratch the week of the shutdown.
So you don't think that's going anywhere?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence of anything. I would have preferred, I said to the Speaker, bring the 2 bills to the floor, as we did with VAWA. You remember with VAWA, they had their bill that said we're against violence against women unless the woman happens to be LGBT, a Native American, or an immigrant. What? And then we had the bipartisan bill that came out of the Senate, put them both on the floor, let them vote their hearts out, and then we prevailed with the one bill that went to the president that had been already passed the Senate. So I'm saying to them, let people vote their wishes, let Congress work its will, but let's not just keep having a kaleidoscope of configuring people that. In September, the Speaker told us he was going to have a task force to do the border stuff. September. It's 4 months later, so last week they formed a new group, and the clock is ticking. So I hope so. I'm always optimistic. I would hope that they would take these bills, the 3 of them, the Senate bill, the House bill, the Hurd bill, good luck, whoever else they have, and say, what can we make of this? But I don't know what's going on in there, and we haven't had any reports. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Leader, Republicans are getting set to argue if there is a shutdown that Democrats did this over what they would call illegal immigration. How do you argue against that?
You know, it's interesting to me that the press spends so much time on what the Republicans say when they have the majority in the House and the Senate and the White House, and that they have a president whose views on the subject keep changing. I'm optimistic about the president keeping his word that he supports DACA and we go to
do this? There's a lot of mention that it's for their own sexual pleasure, and that is in part true, but it's also about their control over other human beings and feeling like God, and they can do anything. Today, your words, your strong stance and voice, your absolute eye contact with your predator puts you in control. He is not in control anymore. I think you sent that message, and I applaud you being here. Continued happiness, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge, this next survivor could not be here today. I have the honor to speak on her behalf. And
You may proceed. Can you state and spell her name?
I can. I want the court to know that in December, I had the opportunity, I'm going to be speaking for Ms. Michaela Maroney. And in December, I had the opportunity to spend some time with her mom, Erin Maroney, and to meet Michaela. And I hope that they are watching somewhere. And again, I am so privileged to speak on their behalf, and I'm glad they've asked me to do this.
And Erin Maroney, is that E-R-I-N?
Yes.
All right, and as to Michaela?
Yes. Spelling, I'm sorry. MCKAYLA-MARONEY.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Dear Judge Aquilina, for as long as I can remember, gymnastics was my life. As a child, my mom said, I need to put this child in gymnastics to tire her out. You could say I was in gymnastics since the age of 18 months. I've always felt comfortable in the gym, sort of my home away from home. I was 7 years old for my first competition. I remember getting ready for the meet. I got my hair braided with a cool bow and some sparkles. I got to wear this really awesome Leo and wore a matching warm-up. Life was good. I looked good. And I was pretty certain that one day I'd be heading off to the Olympics. The Olympics is something that brings people hope and joy. It inspires people to fight for their dreams because anything is possible with hard work and dedication. I remember watching the 2004 Olympics. I was 8 years old, and I told myself that one day I would wear that red, white, and blue leotard and compete for my country. Sure, from the outside looking in, it's a remarkable and amazing story. I did it. I got there, but not without a price. I made the United States national team at the age of 14 and began to compete throughout the world for my country. When I first met Larry Nassar, he was the doctor for our national team and our Olympic team. I was told to trust him, that he would treat my injuries and make it possible for me to achieve my Olympic dreams. Dr. Nassar told me that I was receiving, quote, medically necessary treatment that he had been performing on patients for over 30 years, end quote. As it turns out, much to my demise, Dr. Nassar was not a doctor. He, in fact, was and forever shall be a child molester, a monster of a human being, end of story. He abused my trust, he abused my body, and he left scars on my psyche that may never go away. It all started when I was 13 or 14 years old at one of my first national team training camps in Texas, and it didn't end until I left the sport. It seemed whenever and wherever this man could find the chance, I was, quote, treated, end quote. It happened in London before my team and I won the gold medal. And it happened before I won my silver medal. Present, my mom and dad were unable to observe what Nassar was doing, and this has imposed a terrible and undeserved burden of guilt on my 11th.
Hey guys, just checking in from the newsroom here. You are watching some footage from earlier today of the continued Larry Nassar trial in Lansing, Michigan. And as you guys noted, they are now reading Michaela Maroney, U.S. Olympic gymnast. Of course, you guys know her from her famous memes and her face that she made when she got the medal. They're reading her statement, and this is a pretty high-profile one because she is one of the ones that came out on the early side against this doctor. Now, also in the right side of your screen here, President Trump leaving for Corapolis, Pennsylvania. He'll be speaking on taxes and the economy up in Pennsylvania today. So he's that's later on in the afternoon. Kind of a dual shot here so we can check into this trial, hear what they have to say, hear some of these emotional statements, and then we'll come back in after that. So thanks for joining us. Glad that the audio started working out again. We had to kind of restart, so thanks for hanging on with us and for bearing with some of our technical issues.
Were unnecessary and disgusting. I was deeply saddened by the stories of my fellow Olympic teammates that suffered, as I did, at the hands of Larry Nassar. More than 150 women and girls had to say #MeToo to Nassar's sexual assaults, and hundreds more were victimized to create the pornographic images that fueled his evil desires. A question that has been asked over and over: how could have Larry Nassar been allowed to assault so many women and girls for more than 2 decades? The answer to that question lies in the failure of not one, but 3 major institutions to stop him: Michigan State University, the United States Gymnastics Association, and the United States Olympic Committee. When my story became public, the U.S. Olympic Committee said, quote, "Each doctor working with our athletes undergoes background checks, including an evaluation of medical licensure actions." Unfortunately, this predator was not identified by any organization during the time in question, unquote. Reports to the nation's leading newspapers and media outlets document credible claims that Michigan State University trainers and coaches received complaints about Nassar going back to the late 1990s. These complaints were ignored. Nassar was not even licensed to practice medicine in Texas, yet he, quote, treated, unquote, and abused girls at the Caroli Ranch Olympic Training Center in Huntsville, Texas, for more than 15 years. In 2014, Nassar was the subject of a Michigan State University investigation based on additional complaints of sexual misconduct. This botched investigation concluded that Nassar's actions, which he has now admitted were sexual assaults, were legitimate medical treatments. He was allowed to go back to work at Michigan State University and continue molesting girls. USA Gymnastics and the U.S. Olympic Committee were never informed of this investigation. When other Olympic and national team athletes complained to USA Gymnastics about Larry Nassar in 2015, he was allowed to retire as the Olympic team doctor, and Michigan State was never informed of the complaints made against him. He returned to Michigan State University and allegedly continued to molest young girls until he was finally arrested nearly a year later. A simple fact is this: if Michigan State University, USA Gymnastics, and the U.S. Olympic Committee had paid attention to any of the red flags in Larry Nassar's behavior, I never would have met him. I never would have been treated by him. I never would have been abused by him. It is my hope that federal and state law enforcement agencies will not close the book on the Nassar scandal after he receives his just punishment. It is time to hold the leadership of Michigan State University, United States Gymnastics, and the United States Olympic Committee accountable for allowing and in some cases enabling his crimes. Our silence has given the wrong people power for too long, and it is time to take our power back. Thank you. Signed, Michaela Maroney.
Thank you, Michaela. I think you've just taken your power back along with your sister survivors. Your voice for change and accountability is being heard. And also, I'm hopeful that her words have not fallen on deaf ears with the Olympic Committee. She brings home medals to the United States. They need to listen to her. She was abused. And I'm hoping that what they do, because their statement falls short, I think that's why she included it. She's not here, so I can't ask her, but her statement really says, to me anyway, that the Olympic Committee should have included that we will change our procedures, look deeper, and include allowing parents. I was not aware that parents were not allowed to be there. I'm not sure why that is. I don't know how that helps the Olympics, and clearly it has now hurt them. So her voice echoes loudly on behalf of all sports and the victims here. It resonates with this court. And yet I've heard another crime. Criminal sexual conduct against an incapacitated victim. Something else that could have been charged. I know it's a global settlement, global plea. There are so many more crimes here that were committed. More crimes doesn't help the victims. There's only one lifetime defendant has. I thank and applaud her mother and Michaela for her statement, a very brave public statement. Please let her know, and I hope she's watching.
Me too. I will. Thank you.
Next.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I have somewhat of a unique request. One of the speakers you heard from yesterday, at the time that her statement was going to be presented, she did not feel ready to do that. Her mother spoke on her behalf. She has asked me if she may say a few words, and I think it's important to hear from her because she, up until recently, was a Michigan State University scholarship gymnast. So I'd ask Lindsay Lemke.
She may proceed. Thank you, ma'am. We heard from your mom. I appreciate you wanting to also come forward personally. It means a lot.
Well, thank you.
When you are ready, if you could state and spell your name for the record, and you have your support person here?
Yes, this is my brother.
All right, and we love it when siblings come. Siblings should always be in your life.
I'm very lucky.
You are.
My name is Lindsay Lemke, spelled Lindsey Lemke.
Thank you. You may proceed.
All right. I first want to start out by saying how proud I am of every single person in this room and everywhere that I've used their voice to speak their stories, not only this week, but for the last year and a half. You all deserve all of the love and support that there is to give. You are worthy, and you are all worth so much more than this what man has made you feel for the past however many years. You are all an inspiration to me, and without all of you, I wouldn't be standing up here speaking right now. So thank you. I knew you were going to say that to me.
Well, here it makes my court reporter sort of go to the races, and she is an Olympian in her own right in court reporting. But let's not make her prove it today, okay?
All right. All right. I would also like to thank you, Your Honor, for if it wasn't for you, your patience and willingness to let us as survivors come up here to talk, all of these girls would not have been able to use their voice and finally realize that they do indeed have one. You have provided so much comfort and love to us this week, and I personally can say that I am forever grateful for that. I would now like to address the defendant, if that's okay. To Larry, today I'm speaking to you as my 10-year-old self, on behalf of her. So I hope that is who you picture standing up here looking at you right now. I have my arm wrapped around her, as I will be the voice to you that I needed to hear 12 years ago. Today, I get to see what my life will be like without you for the first time in 12 years. Today, I will finally be free. Larry, to me, you are the worst type of person. Someone who takes advantage, someone who belittles, someone who controls, someone who took away trust, childhoods, happiness, innocence, and someone who even took lives of others. I was abused so many times that I can't even remember when the first time was. I just know that I was only 10 years old. Because you probably don't remember, this was me when you slowly but surely, piece by piece, started to take advantage of me. And piece by piece took my childhood away. I had always been mature for my age, but never ready for something of this nature. In fact, no one is at any age for what you did to all of us. Well, here I am, Larry. I am 22 years old now, and I have had to put myself back together from you breaking me piece by piece. I did that, even after what you thought you did to me, even though you thought you had the power over me. In case you were wondering, I was forced to quit gymnastics in October. Due to my back pain, I was forced. I wonder every day if you caused my back pain to be worse with your treatments, so that way I had to return to your basement, every single Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday night for years. However, I am overjoyed to tell you how much I have prospered since you last abused me. I have competed for 2 D1 universities. I have maintained a 3.4 GPA. I have made the Big Ten academic honor roll. I was named team captain for my senior year by my teammates. I will be working for the Chicago Cubs this summer on an internship for event coordinating. I was selected to be on the MSU Student Athlete Academic Council. And most importantly, in December of 2018, I will graduate with my degree in hospitality business, where MSU has the #2 ranked hospitality business school in the nation. You did not slow me down. You motivated me to push forward full force without you. Today I speak to you because us women, we are stronger than you thought you ever were. We control you. We together will rise while you fall. And we will not stop fighting until you are less than that of what you made us feel for years. You sit up here and shake your head back and forth, and you looked confused because you still don't believe what you did to all of us was wrong, and that's the worst part. You abused us, and you don't even remember. That's sickening. Well, a good thing you have a lifetime in prison to figure it out. That is, even if you make it through, because I don't think you will. Larry, I want you to know that last night, as I was writing my statement, I had an affirmation pop up on my phone that read, "Never let someone with the significance of a speed bump become a roadblock in your life." So while you are praying the rosary for forgiveness, it is clear that God has my back and he is on my side, not yours. I would now like to address all of the people who made this monster possible, if that's okay.
You may.
To John Gettert, since you are too much of a coward to be here in court today and this week, I hope you are watching or listening to me right now. You and Larry carry a lot of the same characteristics. That's funny. You are a disgrace. You coached us, your athletes, who paid you thousands and thousands of dollars by fear to control us and to purposely scare us. Well, John, you are now the one.
All right, guys, I want to take a quick pause on this testimony from the Larry Nassar trial. Really fascinating stuff, really horrible to hear. And you guys are mentioning the testimony from Donna Markham, the mother of Chelsea, who killed herself. And I remember that one very vividly as well. That was actually a couple days ago, guys, that we streamed that one. So if you're interested in watching that, it is a couple days old. On the 16th, we had that in our video. So really, really compelling stuff. Let's bounce over, though, now quickly to Phoenix. There's a live presser going on right now. They're talking about a serial killer who has been caught in Phoenix, Arizona. Police are there, are holding a press conference to talk about it. Let's check it out.
Recognizing that there were abnormalities to his behaviors, he was trying to conceal what was going on. The officer very appropriately took action, the right actions, took the guy into custody and got him off our streets. And that all occurred before the agencies even really started to collaborate and work together towards trying to find him. I remember the morning of December 18th, Monday morning. So if you remember what Chief Williams just talked about, in Glendale, we got involved on December 15th, had 2 homicides and a kidnapping over that weekend, if you will. And by Monday morning, my staff and I are talking about what we need to do to prevent another homicide. Little did we know, Phoenix Patrol had already taken the guy off the street by doing good police work. At that point, detectives began to get together, collaborate on information, and figure things out. And it's because of those relationships established at the federal, state, and local levels that it happened very quickly, and that we began to get a better idea of what this person had actually done. I appreciate Jerry Williams for reading the names of the victims, because that is another very important piece. Our community's lost 9, 10 people as a result of this guy's behavior. I'm just proud as heck that he's off the streets. Couldn't thank our federal, state, local partners enough. So thank you for your time and listening. And now I'll turn it over to Chief Nanigay from Avondale.
Thank you, Rick. I'll keep my comments very brief, but as one of the smallest agencies probably involved in this investigation, I just wanted to state how important it is for us to have the resources and the cooperation available to our community to help us work these type of cases. If it wasn't for Phoenix PD, Glendale PD, our federal partners, this case would be very difficult to solve. And I think it's just testament of the good work of the men and women that in law enforcement do this every day, and it goes on behind the scenes. This cooperation is keeping our community safe and doing the right thing out there to put the bad guys in jail. So with that, I'd like to introduce the special agent in charge, Michael De Leon from the Phoenix FBI office.
Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, the entire FBI organization sends our thoughts and prayers to those that we mentioned this morning, the unfortunate victims, as well as their families and friends of this crime. We also need to recognize this morning Avondale, Phoenix PD, as well as Glendale PD for the great work that those folks have done. The FBI's role in this was pretty much that of support. We've got a violent crime task force which is comprised of multiple agencies, federal, state, and local, from out the valley that, as we've mentioned here, collaborate, work together, and that is what occurred here on this case. Those same folks participated in doing assessments as well as intelligence, providing intelligence to the case, which helped bring this to a closure. And then finally, what I want to make sure that I do is thank everyone, meaning the community itself, for what they have done in terms of their participation in this. And then I don't want to forget our behavioral analysis unit, our BAU, which has also provided assistance in terms of intelligence, behavioral patterns, and trends. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to a special agent in charge of the ATF, John Durstani. Thank you.
Good morning. Firstly, I would also like to convey our condolences to the victims of these senseless acts. Second, let me also commend the leadership behind me and the work that they do day in and day out to support the people on the streets serving the public. It's because of the tenacious work of the investigative team that this individual, this predator, is in custody, and no other victimization will occur by his hands. ATF is proud to be a close partner with the Phoenix Police Department and our NIBIN site partners. It was less than a month ago, I think we got together a Crime Gun Intelligence Steering Committee with representatives across multiple agencies and U.S. Attorney's Office and the County Attorney to discuss the importance of crime gun intelligence. So these agencies have come together, and I'm happy to facilitate some of the equipment and discussions, but really it's a devotion on these leaders to provide the assets necessary to collect these shell casings and get these shell casings into our National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, or NIBIN, that'll allow us to link these crimes together. You know, the goal of this cutting-edge technology is to create comprehensive, timely, and actionable intelligence so that we can go out and prioritize our efforts to take the most violent predators and prolific shooters off the street. ATF will continue to be a valued partner to these agencies, to all agencies, law enforcement agencies in the Valley. And we are also proud to provide valuable assistance, as the FBI did, with our National NIBIN Correlation and Training Center in Huntsville, Alabama, our ATF laboratory in Walnut Creek, and the National Tracing Center. So again, I want to thank Chief Williams, the other chiefs executives that stand behind me opportunity to represent the investigative team, the great work they do day in and day out in this community to make sure that everyone in the Valley stays safe. Thank you.
Before I excuse this group and bring up the PIOs to talk about each individual incident, are there any questions for this group of leaders? All right, thank you. With that, I'd like to introduce Sergeant Thomas Alt with Avondale Police and Sergeant Scott Waite with Glendale Police. Again, all of these investigations are open and active. As additional names are released today, as our suspect name is released today, we expect that there are people still within our community that have additional information that will be able to help us piece together relationships and maybe possible motives for some of these. If anybody out there has information, please call your local agency. I think we've seen that we're all working together, so whatever local agency serves you, please reach out to them or reach out to Silent Witness. So dating back to November 27th, Phoenix police officers about 10:45 in the evening were called to a shooting in the area of 1500 East Indian School Road. The suspect had already fled the area, but officers found 2 men deceased inside a car in the parking lot. Those victims have been identified as Andrew Remillard and Parker Smith. A motive in this incident has yet to be identified. Again, if anybody knows these men or has information that will help us with this case, we're urging them to still reach out to their local law enforcement or Silent Witness. Fast forward just a few days, not even a week later, and we have December 2nd, about 7:45 that evening. Officers are called out to another shooting in the area of 4400 West Indian School Road. When they arrive, again, the suspect had already fled, but they located an adult male. He was deceased of an apparent gunshot wound. That victim has been identified as Salim Richards. Mr. Richards was walking in the area when he too was shot and killed. We do have some witnesses that say that Cooksey and Mr. Richards knew each other. That is yet to be confirmed, so if anybody has information, please have them call the Phoenix Police Department. We do know during that interaction, property was stolen from Mr. Richards, including a handgun. Fast forward a little bit more than a week, or right about a week, and December 11th, there is another homicide. It's in the city of Avondale. I'm going to introduce Sergeant Thomas Alt to discuss that one.
Good day. So on December 11th, at about 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, in the area of 500 East Harrison, officers responded to a shooting call for service. Upon officers' arrival, they located victim Jesus Real in an apartment complex. Jesus victim Real had apparent gunshot wounds, and he was deceased on scene. The suspect in the case fled the scene prior to officers' arrival. Through our detectives and our officers' investigative, they were able to connect Jesus Real to his sister, who is in fact had some sort of relationship with the suspect in this case, which gave us a person of interest. Through that, our detectives continued to investigate what happened by collecting evidence, physical evidence, through forensic science and witness statements. We were able to develop probable cause for Mr. Cooksey in this case. And from there, I will turn it over to Sergeant Scott White from Glendale.
Thank you, Sergeant Alt. So we do know that we have 2 cases that are currently tied to the Glendale Police Department, the city of Glendale at this time. The first one happened on December 13th at roughly 6:53 p.m. In an apartment complex around 5100 North 55th Avenue. So that's 55th Avenue just north of Camelback. Our patrol officers were called there for an adult male who suffered a gunshot wound. They arrived on scene where they did find 29-year-old LaTorre Beckford, who had sustained life-threatening gunshot wounds. He was immediately treated on scene and unfortunately pronounced deceased shortly after. Brief description that we got was an adult black male, thin build, dark clothing, possibly a boot.
And that's where I will close on this press conference, that we always have to remember that God always said that he made everyone in the likeness of him. And we don't get to choose which of his children are worth more than others, because he said they were all equal. So that means whether you are a man or a woman, or whether you're from Africa, Haiti, El Salvador, or any of the other places in the world that he deems unworthy of coming to the United States. And that is the part of this that I think shocks the conscience of this country and requires us to articulate our displeasure with those words. And with that, let me thank everybody.
To stand up to you until now. You not being in court this week has showed us that we, as your athletes who went through your prison that you call an award-winning gym, were nothing to you but a dollar sign. You not being present this week finally shows that you are the one who is scared, not me, because I finally am no longer afraid. My teammates and I spent way too many days as innocent children, shaking, crying, trembling, some even trying to take their own lives because of you. And the sad part is, you don't even know that because you could care less about us as people as opposed to athletes who were your money makers. But similar to what others have told Larry, I will say to you, those little girls that you treated like objects and things are all grown up now and are here to bring you hell. You talking about an award-winning gym? Well, on behalf of every athlete you've ever coached and abused, you are welcome for your award-winning gym that without us girls who put up with your crap for so many years, you wouldn't even have. I hope your throat burns when you swallow those words, award-winning gym, for you are not worthy of that. You are known to me. You did nothing good for me. You belittled, berated, abused, and took advantage of me. You brainwashed me, and so did Larry. I couldn't speak up for myself, for I was seen as disrespectful. I didn't have a voice, but now I do, so I hope you are ready. What a great best friend John was to Larry for giving him an entire world where he was able to abuse so easily. You two sure do have a funny meaning of friendship. You, John Getter, also deserve to sit behind bars right next to Larry. To USAG, who I don't think is here today, unfortunately, wish they were, but I'm just gonna be blunt and start by calling you out for paying athletes millions of dollars to stay quiet about Larry Nassar. Thank you for proving to us why you are indeed responsible and need to be held accountable. Steve Penny, you are a coward, resigning from your position to give responsibility to someone else for creating the environment to let this monster thrive.
Can you slow down?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just getting into it, man. I'm really feeling it. I mean, it's been a long time coming. Okay. I'm gonna work on it.
Get athlete adrenaline, but we need to slow down here a little bit, okay?
I got it. All right. I'm gonna work on it. All right.
Thank you.
You, as in USAG, came to court this week. I'm assuming because you felt like you had to, not because you wanted to. You hid in that back corner, hoping no one would see you or recognize you. Well, I hope the way you feel right now, the way you are hiding, being evasive, being cowed with you heavy, because that's how we women feel and have felt for the past 20 plus years. Scared of the public and scared to speak up, just like you are right now. Well, you better learn to step it up and stop feeling sorry for yourselves. Because for all the women who have been able to speak and share their story, we are the survivors, and I'm here to tell you that we don't feel sorry for ourselves anymore because we are working on healing. So no, you don't deserve to feel sorry for yourselves. I see USAG being praised on social media for their new focus to assure safety for their athletes. You're already being praised for only talking about what you're going to do. That's disgusting, and what a slap in the face to us for the past however many years, whoever it may be, that they have not even taken action yet and they're already being praised. When you personally reach out to each and every survivor and make it up to every girl and their families, which will never be able to happen, that's maybe when the 100 plus women and I will be able to forgive you, but I don't see that as a possibility. We went through this for years, so I hope that you are ready to spend decades trying to make up for what you have done. And lastly, Michigan State University. Shame on you. I went public about my story back in January of 2016, and let me tell you, I was terrified. I was terrified because of what you would do to me. As a full-ride athletic scholarship athlete on the gymnastics team, I was worried about my consequences and what they would be if you realized who I was and went public about my story. How messed up is that? You created the type of environment where victims were afraid to speak up. Little did I know you did this for years. I was afraid my scholarship would be taken that I worked so hard for. The scholarship that I went through years of abuse by multiple people to get. To Kathy Klages, I am so disgusted by you. Women who came up to you in 1997 and you told them that they would have consequences for speaking out about Larry, just the same as you told me 19 years later that Larry would have negativity brought to his name if I were to speak about my story. Those women waited 19 years for you to get what you deserve because you silenced them for those 19 years. When the news broke about Larry from the Indy Star, you wanted your athletes to sign a card to tell this abuser and monster that we were thinking of him and praying for him. We also were brought into a room together, and we were told by somebody on staff that we were not allowed to speak of the situation. You deserve to lose your job. You deserve what is coming to you, and we deserve to be victorious. You also belong with John and Larry behind bars because you knew what he was doing and you still chose to defend him. You are also a coward. I'm almost done, I promise. To Luanna Simon, I don't even know how you are still in the position that you are in. I don't know how you can still call yourself a president because I don't anymore. You are no president of mine as a student and former athlete of Michigan State University. Guess what? You're a coward too. You say you aren't responsible for this. I wish you would come up to this podium and be half as brave as all of us have had to be the past year and a half. To be brave enough to be a public survivor and a competing athlete of your university who let me down. To be brave enough to come up here and confidently tell us the reasons why you don't think that you are responsible. I love gymnastics so much. I loved gymnastics. I still wore a Michigan State University leotard for an entire season to compete for your school while you sat back and denied these accusations and basically called me a liar. Well, I'm here to tell you, Luanna Simon, Larry Nassar, John Getter, and Kathy Klages, I had the best and most rewarding year of competition of my 17 years of gymnastics. None of you stopped me. I won, and I defeated all of you. You, Luanna, will never be half the person I have become or as all of these women who have had to deal with Larry Nassar. You will never be as strong, and you will never be as brave. Instead, you come to court and sit in the back row after being called out on social media for not being here. When put in front of the cameras, you show no emotion. You have no answers. When asked to be here for a survivor statement today, you stated that you are too busy to fit it in your schedule. Well, Luanna Simon, I can assure you, none of us had the time in our schedules for the past 5 to 20 years for Larry Nassar to abuse us, but we had no choice. Neither did we have the time in our schedule for therapy, tears, stress, anxiety, panic attacks, sleepless nights, guilt, or for some, self-harm. But we did anyways, because of you and the others who let Larry into our world. Your broad spectrum of emails that are sent to everyone, not specific survivors, that states that you are sorry and working to fix this. Please stop and save yourself the pity party. Does that seriously make you feel better?
All right, guys, and that is all we have of that feed from this morning. Again, that was earlier pre-taped from the sentencing that's going on in Lansing, Michigan. Lots of really powerful words there from that one victim. She also had a moment where she kind of made a few jokes. I think she was able to sort of talk about it in a little more lighthearted manner, but really interesting too to hear from the woman who was speaking on behalf of Michaela Maroney, who's been in the news a lot lately with Chrissy Teigen, saying she's offering to pay the fine that she would Michaela would have to pay if she went against her NDA to talk about the doctor who assaulted her. So lots of stuff going on there. I am going to say, due to some unforeseen circumstances, we are going to pull down the stream a little bit early today, but I want to thank you guys so much for being loyal viewers, and thanks for hanging on the stream even through our technical difficulties today. If you have anything you want to talk about or any thoughts or any comments about today, feel free to leave it in the chat. We'll keep this streaming up a little bit longer so you can kind of chat amongst yourselves and with me. But with that, lots of little stuff today. Trump is in Corapolis, Pennsylvania for a speech on tax and economic reform. We saw the Phoenix serial killer update. We bounced around Capitol Hill a little bit to hear some talks on DACA and immigration. And we'll do the same thing tomorrow, guys. I think this Larry Nassar sentencing is kind of ongoing for the week, so we'll see sort of where this goes and what the ultimate conclusion is of that, because I know we want to bring that to you. So with that, guys, Pete, thanks for being on, and Schultze and everybody else. Feel free to hang out for a little bit longer, but again, we're going to bring it down from the newsroom, and then we'll be back up tomorrow at 11 with some more weather and into news on Friday, going into the weekend. So we're excited. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us, and take care. Thanks for joining me on this Thursday. Have a good one.